Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Derek here.
Eric here.
We've got a little two-pack of fellas on the story,
right.
and we'll see what we can do here. So let's open up, Eric, with Britney Spears. This saga is very, very sad. It's a sort of new development in what's going on with her post-conservatorship life. She's got a lot of drama with her children now.
Yeah.
She posts these sort of, when she's not posting dancing videos spinning around, she posts these lengthy diatribes. I'm not sure how you would describe them. Sure,
diatribe.
rants.
Yeah, she probably wouldn't use that word, but
right.
Yeah, that's the word I would
I don't
say.
think it's how she'd describe it, but in one of them, she mentioned how she's having trouble with her kids and refers to them in some pretty coarse terms. You know, she calls them hateful at times.
Yeah.
These are teenage boys. This is Jaden and Sean Preston, I believe.
Yes.
So these are her two sons with Kevin Federline, and she's having a rough relationship. And K-Fed has recently given an interview, a lengthy interview to the Daily Mail, I believe, where he's talked about these issues she's had with her children and that they don't see her. So we remember there were bits and dribs and drabs of this. They didn't go to the wedding with Sam Asghari, which is not altogether sort of strange if you think about it. They're K-Fed's children.
It's a little strange because it's not like they're on the other side of the country. They live down the street from her, basically, and they didn't go to their mother's wedding.
But publicly, they were supportive. They said, we support the wedding, we're just not going to be there. And now more has come out that they haven't seen their mother for 5 months.
Yeah.
And Britney unloaded, said they were hateful, said it's, sort of difficult to deal with rude people like her children. But she's talking about teenage boys who have these tendencies. So what K-Fed did in response is he posted a couple of videos of interactions between Britney Spears and her sons. They're sort of secretly recorded by her sons, but, in the car, in the back seat while she's ranting. One is in a bedroom when she barges in and says one of the boys needs to wear more face cream because his skin is coarse.
This is my house. If I want to come in here and give you lotion for your face because it is coarse, and all you tell me, no, it's fine, it's fine. No, it's not fine. You all better start respecting me. Are we clear?
Yeah.
And when Robin calls, and you're all, even Robin's a kid. She goes, what have you been doing to your kids? You all need to start treating me like a woman with worth. I am a woman, okay? Be nice to me. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Have you lost your mind? I do care, but I'm shocked as with you. And I don't know what to do. And I'm scared of you because you're weird, because you're going through puberty. I don't know what to say. But I do care more than you know.
If you really cared, you wouldn't take my phone away for literally...
I was in shock in the store when I looked down. And Jaden, how are you so cool about that? Your brother being with his big feet, size 13 now?
Well, he's my brother.
And all the more exposed his feet, your blood in an ice cream shop in Alaska weather. Don't you think that's a little odd?
It has shades of Mommy Dearest.
It's a little odd, but honestly, I didn't think those videos made Britney look that bad. It looked like a mom with
frustrated with teen
boys.
kids.
Like in one of the videos, she was upset her kid had gone into a store with his shoes off. And yeah, moms and teenagers, it's a rough relationship.
Yeah.
It's just this one is so public, and now Matt Rosengart, Britney's attorney, is saying that there may be legal consequences for Federline posting these videos, which seems a little extreme. I mean, is she going to sue her ex-husband for posting videos of their children while she's also having all these battles with her father and her mother and her sister? And
she's fighting a lot of battles on a lot of fronts, and it seems that now, rather than being in a conservatorship where a conservator is meant to look out for your best interests, she's now led by Matt Rosengart, who's a lawyer. Now, it's not to question his motives in any way. I do think he has pure motives of protection of Britney, but the way lawyers think is a little bit more adversarial than a conservator who's looking out for sort of softer interests and how someone's life is being conducted. The lawyer is like, well, I want to fight. Usually lawyers are looking to fight. Matt Rosengart is a former prosecutor, and he wants to protect Britney through the legal system. So he's battling Jamie Spears. With regard to what K-Fed did, K-Fed's remained pretty quiet through all of this and sort of dignified and at a remove from all the Britney drama. Well, now he's protecting his kids by posting these videos, and Matt Rosengart said Mr. Federline's ill-advised decision to post an old video of his 11 and 12-year-old children was cruel, bottom-of-the-barrel stuff. In addition to demeaning himself and violating societal norms, he has now created various legal issues for himself, including but not limited to implicating cyber harassment and cyber bullying statutes. That sounds like a legal threat that there could be criminal implications.
Yeah.
There are cyber harassment and cyberbullying statutes that usually involves a crime in California where you can, by electronic means, harass somebody.
Would this be a father posting videos of his own children with his ex-wife?
This sounds like a stretch to me. It sounds like something that he wanted to sort of crack the whip and tell K-Fed, stop doing this or else I'm going to raise it up a level and you could expose yourself. It's sort of a way like sending a cease and desist letter when you don't really have the goods, but you want someone to stop doing what they're doing. You might say something like this. Or, look, you know, Matt Rosengart was a former prosecutor. He knows these laws very well, and he wants to sort of saber rattle a little bit and tell K-Fed, cut it out and go back to the old K-Fed where you were just sort of watching from a distance and taking care of the boys. So I don't know.
The thing is, though, you saying like Matt Rosengart, is the person who's sort of, he's not her conservator, but he is the person in her life now. But the thing is that Jamie Spears, Matt Rosengart, Kevin Federline, they all have a financial stake in Britney Spears.
I know.
Because Matt Rosengart, he may be friendly with Britney, but he still makes money off of her.
Absolutely.
And so that's just everybody in her life, and it always has been. So
You pointed out exactly what is so sad about this scenario. Now, Britney Spears, obviously the conservatorship lasted much longer than we all expected, and I'm on balance happy that she now has some sense of freedom, living under the thumb of a conservator for the better part of your adult life. This is not someone who is very, very old and needed care for them. This is someone who is sort of dealing with some mental issues. I think it's on balance good that she has the freedom, but it's dangerous as well because she obviously has some erratic tendencies. She lashes out. And if the right person isn't managing her mental state, she could be in fights for a very long time. If people around her are advising her to do so, you could see her getting riled up.
And now that it's her own children, it's just even sadder.
It's a very, very sad situation. I hope it sort of turns around, but right now she's in the thick of these battles, and we'll have to see.
Speaking
Take us
of
to Trump.
Sad situations for the country, Donald Trump, after the raid at Mar-a-Lago, the FBI raid, the Department of Justice, Merrick Garland, said they wanted to unseal the warrant and what the documents were. Now Trump is saying he is all for it. He has said this is un-American, unwarranted. And, I
want to pause on Merrick Garland for a second. He took the gloves off. You rarely see an AG come out publicly, in favor of unseal these documents. The American people should know what this guy did and why we raided his home and not let him control the narrative. Usually AGs are a little bit more politic about these things, and Merrick Garland has a reputation as not being really a firebrand. He's a former judge who's become an attorney general, but he came out and took the gloves off.
And this puts Trump in a corner because if Trump denies unsealing this warrant, then what is he hiding?
Exactly.
So Trump is saying, nope, that's not what I'm doing. But what Trump is already doing is saying that this is a hoax. It's a witch hunt. He's implying that they've planted evidence. So already, no matter what is revealed from this, a good chunk of the country is not going to believe any of it.
That's right. Trump is doing his normal playbook of getting out ahead of the narrative to set the stage for you guys. Just don't worry about what comes out.
This isn't real. This isn't true. But it could have, he can deny all he wants. But one of the things we know that they were looking for now were nuclear documents that no president is supposed to ever have, especially not after their presidency and not at their resort home in Florida. So if we don't know if they found those documents or not, or exactly what they are, but if Trump was walking off with nuclear documents or taking the nuclear codes with him on the way out, no amount of lying is going to get him out of that one.
This is absolutely staggering. I mean, we're really in the realm of beyond anything Tom Clancy would write about in an espionage thriller, where a sitting president at the time who has access and a tremendous amount of public trust to manage nuclear information, our most devastating weapon that we have on the books. And there were always sort of thoughts about his cozy relationship with Putin and what he would do with all this information. We have what a lot of people consider a con man in the White House who is craven and prone to corruptibility. The idea that he took classified nuclear information from the White House after his presidency, where he didn't believe he lost, and shoved them in maybe a safe, I don't know what he was going to do with them. Would he sell them to a foreign leader for money? This is wild stuff.
We don't know definitely that he had them or what the intention might have been if he did.
The fact that there was enough for a warrant.
Yes. But so for historical context, for people who don't know, back in the 1950s, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were trying to sell nuclear secrets to a foreign power, and they were executed for that.
Yes.
I'm not saying that's going to happen to Donald Trump, but that's the severity of what we're talking about here.
It's hard to fathom a crime that is more serious than treason. Treasonous crimes they're even kind of ahead of murder in some ways in people's minds because you're betraying an entire country.
Yeah.
When we elect officials, I mean, we think of this all as politics as, bare knuckle and you got to get in the mud with your opponents. But once someone is elected, they generally act in the best interest of the nation. The campaigning is put aside and then they're supposed to, manage the country responsibly, not abuse their power
even if they fail at
way.
it, you should see that they're trying. Like there's been some people who weren't great presidents, but they just weren't great presidents.
I don't know who you're referring to.
Actually, I was thinking of Jimmy Carter, but
No,
good
this
guy,
is true.
not a great president. But they try.
Yes.
But this is we're in such uncharted territory now.
It's really uncharted, and look, we've had terrible presidents in the past, and I know we often have these debates about Nixon because I named my daughter Nixon, but the types of things that he did in stealing documents from political opponents during campaigns don't rise to this kind of level.
Yeah.
This is truly abuse of power in a very, very concrete way. Now, look, we don't know that any of it's true, and maybe Donald Trump is telling the truth for the first time about it being a witch hunt. I don't know, but I do think these processes have to play out, and he can't sort of battle the very fabric of truth in a way that will allow this country to recover from.
That's the thing. I don't get whatever your feelings on him. If he did take them, and if it was deliberate, that's the safety of the entire nation. Like that transcends any political party, any whatever.
Yeah.
We're all in danger if the president's trying to do whatever with nuclear documents.
It's crazy. We always talk about the 40% that will absolutely defend him to their dying breath, but I don't understand how you'll look at this stuff if more information comes out that
because you don't believe it's true. Because now if they produce the documents, then he's going to say it's planted, even though his own attorney was there, right?
Yeah.
So,
we are really in a post-truth world,
I don't know.
It's a very strange and disorienting place to be, but we'll have to see how it plays out. This development, though, we had to sort of at least speak about how far we've come. I mean, these are things that wouldn't be even written about in fictional senses because it would seem like, that's a crazy plot from a James Bond movie. But here we are. All right, so moving on to some really, really sad news. In the Anne Heche situation. So we know that she sort of drove her car into a home, burst into flames, and she was carried away in an ambulance. Well, now we've learned that she's not expected to survive her injuries. She suffered the charred remains of that car just showed that if she was trapped in that vehicle, it must have been very serious.
When I saw the photo, the first thing I saw was the helicopter video of her on the stretcher, and she revived for a moment. So I thought, oh, maybe it's not that bad. And then you see the photo of the car. I don't know how she survived it in the first place.
Yeah, and she's in very, very bad condition. So we learned that she suffered a severe anoxic brain injury. What that is basically no oxygen to your brain. And when your brain has no oxygen, that is death. They can revive your heart at times. You can stop breathing for a period and they can make you breathe. But when your brain starts to die, that's just death. She's been in a coma ever since.
For a week now. So we should say we're recording this Friday morning.
Yes.
Early Friday morning. So as of now, she is still alive as far as we know.
Yes.
But if they're taking her off life support, which it sounds like what they're going to be doing, it probably won't be long. And her representative has already said that she was an organ donor, so they're already looking into that.
Yep.
Her rep is speaking of her in the past tense, saying she will be greatly missed. So it looks like there's no path to recovery here.
Yeah, and this was a statement from her reps. This is not just sort of digging around for clues. They've now come out on the record and said she's in critical condition, not expected to survive. They are going to look to harvest her organs now. You're going to see now a lot of retrospectives on who Anne Heche was, because when someone passes in this fashion, it's easy to get, sort of caught up in the drama of how they pass and forget really that she was a pretty big celebrity. I mean, it's hard for people to remember.
For her particularly, I think it'll be difficult to divorce because if you remember in her heyday of the spotlight, she was always troubled.
Yes.
There was always some sort of controversy swirling around her for various reasons.
She would say sort of wacky things about her family and aliens at times.
And she had
a troubled life.
It's just it's just sad.
It is very, very sad. And she's not expected to survive, so you're going to see the tribute sort of pouring out. She is alive as of this recording, as Eric said, but it does look it just looks grim. It just looks very grim, and there's not much more to say about it other than to celebrate sort of like who she was as a person, how important she was to film and pop culture for a time. I mean, we work in a very young environment, but to Eric and I, like, she was a very big deal. When she dated Ellen, they were, of a level of like, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck sort of couple that was talked about.
It was sort of transformative for the culture too, because it was two women in a relationship they were both very high profile at the time, and it was that era that maybe started changing the country's opinions towards same-sex relationships.
Absolutely.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, it was. So, that's the update on Anne Heche.
Speaking of things that were big in the 90s.
Yes, here we go.
Friends, one of the most beloved sitcoms of all time, has, of course, over the years come under fire for the lack of diversity on the show. And now Lisa Kudrow, Phoebe from Friends, is saying that the Friends creators had no business writing stories about people of color. And this is not her saying that she thinks there should not have been people of color on the show, and I think she's right. The writers of that show, she's like, what kind of stories could they have written about people of color? Like, they shouldn't have. The issue then becomes, why weren't there writers of color on the show?
Yes, that is certainly one of the issues. I push back. You and I have some disagreement about this because I think many great works of literature and great works of drama are written by people who don't identify with the characters that they create. I think that can be okay. In general, I think you want inclusivity. You want more people in the writer's room with more perspectives to share so that a show can reflect the viewpoints of different people.
But I do agree with you on that. Marta Kaufman, the creator of the show, has always said like it was based on her friends group.
Right.
It was a group of 6 white people. Those were her friends.
Girls got this same criticism. With Lena Dunham, had a group of white friends. What else was she supposed to write about?
Interesting to me, though, that there's for years been this criticism of Friends, but you never hear it about Cheers or Frasier or really Seinfeld even. Like, those were very white shows, too.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Maybe because people love Friends so much and it appeals to so many people. Maybe they want to see themselves reflected on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Cheers, Seinfeld sort of holds up because it was so absurdist. Some of the premises were not really sort of cultural touchstones in the same way Friends was. But when you watch Friends now,
but they're both set in New York City, though.
They're
and that's
both
part
set
of
in
the
New
criticism. York. The Andy Griffith Show was set in a very white community in the early '60s. It makes sense.
Yes,
But
when you watch Friends, it seems of the 90s. So does Seinfeld in terms of what they're wearing, but it's sort of universal in terms of, master of your domain. These topics that they were discussing and sort of riffing on are sort of universal, right? Masturbation is not going anywhere. You're going to have a show that can riff on that, and it's going to be funny. When you watch Friends at times, it's a little cringy because there was a lot of gay panic in the 90s.
Yeah,
there's
always,
interactions between Chandler
was
and
terrified.
Joey.
People thought he was gay.
Right.
And it is very 90s. There are a lot of things about it. But
this is strange. So Lisa Kudrow, built her career on Friends. She's an actress. She's a very, very talented person and has had a career after Friends that is relevant and vibrant, and she's very well respected. But Friends is the biggest thing Lisa Kudrow has done in her life.
Yeah.
I don't love when these actors sort of distance themselves from the thing that made them very relevant. I think she should not necessarily, draw a line in the sand and say, I'm going to defend Friends to all lengths, but I think it's okay that the show was written by a bunch of people about their particular experiences and didn't try to condescend and try to step into the viewpoint of, people of color or, LGBTQ issues, because that's not what their context was.
No, and it's not what the writers knew.
It's not what they knew. And I think also writers can write about things that they don't experience. William Shakespeare wrote Othello. That's one of the greatest, plays of all time, and it's about a Moorish person.
So now Friends is Shakespeare. Okay, all right.
It's possible, but it's very, very difficult to do. So they should probably just pack the writer's room. This is something that I know Harvey is going to feel differently about, so we'll probably have more discussions about this.
Yeah.
Let's end on a fun note. So... This is another sort of sign of the times. Tommy Lee, the drummer from Motley Crue, posted a full frontal picture of himself nude yesterday on Facebook and Instagram. He took it down off Instagram, but it stayed on Facebook for a while. I'm not even sure if it's still there.
I'm shocked. No, it's been taken off Facebook now, but Facebook and Instagram don't allow nudity like that. So
they don't.
I don't know how that stayed up as long as it did. Twitter, you can do whatever you want, but I was shocked that stayed up so long.
It's remarkable. It's a remarkable in its visual.
It's not subtle. It's not like, you can kind of see. It was just a full frontal naked shot of Tommy Lee.
And to put in context, Tommy Lee has one of the most viewed and famous penises next to Michelangelo's David.
And
we've thought about this.
And impressive.
And impressive. And
yeah, a lot of people have seen it.
Famously, the first big sex tape of the 90s was the Pam and Tommy tape, which was stolen, by the way.
It was the first big sex tape.
It really was.
That predated, Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton and all the other ones that we think
There were
of.
some in the 80s, there was like a Rob Lowe one that was floating around.
I think the difference was that Pam and Tommy
huge.
came up with the beginning of the internet also.
Yes.
And so it was an easier way for people to see it if they wanted to.
Yes. So his penis became very, very famous in the 90s, but he's one of those characters who, like, notwithstanding there was a show called Pam and Tommy recently, just sort of exists out there now, and he's sort of like past his prime. Well, he got a big headline by posting this. And, it was sort of a fun day. It was fun to reintroduce his penis to a new generation because I don't think there was an appreciation. We had talked about honking the horn. We make jokes in the room all the time, but now you've seen it in all its glory. And I don't know that there's much more to say about his penis, but it was
the older generation. Also, think of all the groupies that Motley Crue had. They were introduced to it personally.
Yes.
They probably had firsthand experience. I said, like, I think one of the funniest things is that some of the comments on the photo when he posted it, people were, shocked. Like, children can see this. This is so crass and like vulgar. I'm like, he's the drummer from Motley Crue. Crass and vulgar has been their thing for 40 plus years.
This is not a man who puts on three-piece suits and goes into an
also,
office.
What 16-year-olds are following Tommy Lee on Facebook?
Yes, yes. Here's another little element of this that I thought was interesting. So his new wife is Britney Federline, who is a very, internet savvy person. She grew up in the age. She's much younger than Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee is a character from the 80s and 90s who doesn't really understand the internet in the same way, but he's married to someone who is, basically a YouTube kind of TikTok-y person and has always been. So her response to this, and when Pam and Tommy's tape was stolen from a safe, there was outrage. These were two people that, although out there and very sort of glamorous, wanted to keep that part of their life private. Yeah. Britney, in responding to this, did so in a very TikTok way. She posted a video of her sort of scrolling through and widening her eyes as she sees a ding of a notification from Tommy Lee. I thought it was an interesting contrast from the way Pam reacted to their tape being exposed.
The world's different now, and I think younger generations, they have
a
a different
deal.
approach to it.
Yeah.
And also, like, once you get past the prudishness of it, Tommy Lee's got nothing to be ashamed of.
He really doesn't. It's hard to imagine ever wanting to wear pants when you look like Tommy Lee. It really is.
It's hard to imagine being able to wear pants when you're Tommy Lee. I don't know.
So, all right, that'll do it for us. Go ahead and download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Thanks.